diabetes for 24 years. Now, I'm certain anyone else can feel the same way, but it will never feel like whatever year I am on. It will always feel like just yesterday. You know? So, today's video, I'm going to tell a little bit of my story. You know, some of the stuff that I went through, some of the stuff that I have gone through well after, and do a little ASMR with some of my diabetes supplies. I also did a little look. Of course, you guys know I don't always start out a video with makeup on. But, you know, not only was the mental health kind of mental health thing, I thought I would keep it, you know, diabetes color, you know, blue. Plus, it's my favorite color, so that kind of worked out a little well, kind of. Not like it had to be, but you know what I mean. So, let's go ahead and jump right into it, shall we? Okay. So, again, if you've been here for a little bit, maybe you know my story a little bit by now. I don't know. But just in case, I'll either refresh your mind or let all the new people know. So, first of all, some of the red flags, you know, that you would kind of want to look out for, and you can definitely Google these, go to jdrf.org to also find out more. But me, I was drinking rather quick and a lot. You know, I would go in the kitchen, get something to drink, and not even make it to the living room where I would already be done with it. You know, as well as going to the bathroom quite frequently. You know, whether that maybe be like every hour or so. You know, kind of annoying, right? I mean, who wants to go to the bathroom that much? Of course. So, I had went to bed that previous night. Yours didn't really think too much, obviously, you know. But maybe about, now I want to point out, I don't remember anything. Which I, of course, told, it's a good thing for me. Everyone else can definitely, of course, they definitely wish that was the same. So, went to bed that previous night. Again, maybe 6:30 in the morning. You know, I believe we were starting school, or we had started school at that point. I don't remember. But 5th grade for me. And so, again, 6:30 in the morning, my sister woke up. Thankfully, we shared a room at a time. So she heard me. She thought I was sick, so she went to go tell our parents. Now, 24 years later, I will always wish I was, in fact, just sick. You know, simple cold, maybe, I don't know, stomach bug. Something that I knew would 100% go away. Obviously, that's what anyone would want. Granted, we might not technically want it, but we know it'll go away, you know? So, they came in the room, tried to wake me up, couldn't. My dad then called 911. I went to the hospital with, I think it was a 600, 700 blood sugar. Now, obviously, I don't need to tell all you people without it. You know, if you don't live your life, or maybe you don't know anyone with it, that's not good. Of course. Never really want to get that high. That's another red flag, of course. So, I spent maybe, I don't know, I think about a week in the hospital. So, of course, that meant missing schoolwork. Now, I could have handled maybe like a day having to catch up on everything, and just I would also going through something that you didn't know too much about. Again, 0 out of 10 recommend. Wouldn't even wish it on my worst enemy. Okay? But, now again, I will always be thankful that not only did, of course, me and my sister share a room at the time, but that she even heard me to begin with. Because, of course, I would not be here today if she didn't. I wouldn't have gotten into this ASMR journey. I wouldn't be able to share random things that I love, people that I crushed on, etc., etc. Okay, I wouldn't be able to share any of it. So thankfully, I'm here to do all that. Honestly. So yeah. Now let's skip ahead to 2009. I was in high school. My doctor that I had at the time thought it maybe be a good idea to put me on the pump. Why not? Hopefully it'll help, right? What could go wrong? So I don't really think it was too long into wearing it when it started giving me problems. It wasn't giving me insulin like it should. So that meant hospital visits. For me, it was like every other month. Again, 0 out of 10 recommend. But thankfully, I was taken off of that and back on the shots. Now, doctor that I got after, now sadly, he had passed. So of course I got a new one. There have been plenty of times, like recent, where you will ask me if I want to be put on one. But me, it's not my thing. I don't think. It's great if it works out for anyone else. But I just, now not saying that could happen again, but I just still, I don't know, I'm kind of comfortable with not wearing anything, having to worry about this and that, especially when I have a niece, not exactly like, I mean, it depends, but she's not exactly like the calmest child. She will jump and whatnot. Love her to death, of course, but for now, I think I am okay without it. Now, again, I have definitely had my fair share of hospital visits, way more than I can count, way more than I would like to count, but again, thankfully, I am still here, did have to spend a couple holidays in the hospital. There was one Easter, I don't remember the year. I think it was before the pandemic hit, but I couldn't enjoy Easter. Now, thankfully, I didn't have to stay. Thankfully, they were able to get me all better, and whatnot. I was able to go home, but I still never got to enjoy Easter like I wanted. Then there was, I want to say, maybe not even a few years ago, I think. I try to block these out in my head, as you can tell. I feel like anyone would. Especially when you've had so much. But the day after Thanksgiving or Black Friday, I was in the hospital first questions he asked me was, has anyone told you that your neck was big? Big? Like, no. Why? Turns out I had a lump on my right thyroid. Now, thankfully, benign. Okay? Not cancerous at all. So that right there, I was able to breathe a sigh of relief. But I was definitely put through hell and back before finally even getting the surgery. So that doctor had recommended to me a new long-acting insulin to try. Again, why not? Something to help, So not even too long into wearing that, or not wearing that, but taking it, I noticed breakouts. I mean, I hate breakouts to begin with, obviously, but it was way more than normal. I remember me and my mom went to the store trying to look for something to help because, again, I didn't know. Wish I did. But turns out I was allergic to that insulin. So I was in the hospital 4 times in 2 weeks, starting the end of May that year. The first couple times my blood sugar was, I believe, too low. The last couple times it was too high. Now, I think it was my final time there. I literally cried. Because again, I was exhausted. I was over the visits. Obviously I always say nothing personal to the people who work there. But when you have been so many times before, for this disease called diabetes, you're over it. You are mentally, physically exhausted. I needed a good cry. One of the nurses, she gave me a hug, told me they were going to get me better. Now, I am thankful that we caught what was going on like that really quick. What did they do? Blame me. Yeah, me, right here. Me and my diet, supposedly. Sure. Yeah, let's go with that. Some of the things that you hear from people, your mind kind of takes a second to process. Did they really just say that to me? Well, also, I think upping or lowering my dosage that I was taking. You would think maybe put 2 and 2 together at some point, I don't know, but we did. So I was taken off that immediately, obviously. Say goodbye. And I honestly had never really been allergic to anything before in my life until that point. So now, obviously, when I'm asked, are you allergic to anything, I have to tell people that. Especially at the pharmacy, of course. But, again, thankfully, I'm still here. Thankfully, I got to see then almost 11. Because, again, want to be able to share all these things with you guys, of course. Now, let's do a little ASMR with some of my supplies, shall we? You ready? Okay. I'm going to try to keep Here is the meter I use. It's definitely been an evolution of these that I have used, of course. Yeah, it should be fine. Not really much ASMR I can do with this. Well, here we go. Finger breaker. Not really much to do with that. And my strips. And another bottle. You know, random thing real quick, okay? I've seen, I have it in my head every now and again, certain things that I feel like should be free. Honestly, really, no matter what, ladies, you get it, pads. I mean, 100%. As well as supplies, okay? Because obviously, we should all know without, when you have something going on with your insurance or something, maybe you're like me, move and you don't have it just yet. These things are not, cheap. Like, I really wish they were, So, I hope at some point we can finally be like, hey, thank God these things are free, okay? I think we deserve it by now. And through hell and back with this disease as much as it is. So, it would be great. Just saying. One of my shots. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. No vlog. Long acting. I really like a whole lot to do with these things, but So there is the whole diabetes, but make it ASMR, plus my story and whatnot video, all complete. I really hope you guys enjoy this. If you guys, go through the same thing I do, I am with you. I am sure you are over it just as much as I am. Maybe you know someone with it. Maybe they're over it too, because again, I get it. Let's just pray to God we wake up finally one day, can say it's gone. There's a cure, because again, we love that right about now. So I hope you guys got some knowledge. Again, you can definitely Google, go to jdrf.org to learn more. Definitely learn the signs and everything, just in case, you never know. Nobody wants to go through this, of course. Thumbs this up if you guys enjoyed it. Hit that subscribe button. Please follow me everywhere else, And as always, stay safe out there, and I will see you guys in the next one.